This is CBN News Watch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Heather Sells. The board of directors of Ravi Zacharias International Ministries says that claims of sexual abuse and even rape by the late Zacharias are true. The board released the results of a law firm investigation it commissioned and apologized for previously belittling accusers. As the ministry navigates next steps, Christians worldwide are reeling from the findings and working to process the abuse by a man who encouraged millions to believe in Christ. Caitlin Burke reports.
Shocked and grieved. That's how Ravi Zacharias International Ministries describes its reaction to a lengthy investigation, one that ultimately confirmed serious claims of sexual misconduct against the organization's founder and namesake.
Our office is currently closed until Monday, February 15th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, in order to give our staff time to process the final report on an investigation into serious accusations against Ravi Zacharias.
The ministry issued a lengthy apology Thursday when the details went public. It reads in part, "We believe not only the women who made their allegations public, but also additional women who had not previously made public allegations against Ravi, but whose identities and stories were uncovered during the investigation." Backlash has been swift. HarperCollins Christian Publishing announced it would immediately take all publications by Zacharias out of print, and the UK board of the Zacharias Trust announced a ministry name change would be forthcoming. Meanwhile, Christians around the world remain shocked as they try to process the news. Among them, Tim Tebow, Lecrae, and former press secretary Kayleigh McEnany, who shared with CBN News last year the impact Zacharias had on her Christian faith.
To have someone who, from an academic place, as an apologist, could equip you with those arguments where you didn't have to check your brain at the door when you became a Christian, where there is intellectual foundation for everything we believe.
Ravi Zacharias Ministries is committed to change, the organization hiring outside experts to educate and advise leadership, along with consulting on ways to provide assistance to victims. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
In other news, over the weekend, the Senate acquitted former President Donald Trump in his second impeachment trial. But Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says Trump's legal troubles may not be over. CBN News congressional correspondent Abigail Robertson has the story.
While the impeachment trial might be over, the former president could still face criminal charges for his role in the January 6th attack.
He did not do his job. He didn't take steps so federal law could be faithfully executed and order restored. No. Instead, according to public reports, he watched television happily, as the chaos unfolded.
Immediately after the vote, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell took to the Senate floor to condemn President Trump's actions, while still insisting that impeaching a former president is unconstitutional.
If President Trump were still in office, I would have carefully considered whether the House managers proved their specific charge.
Democrats, however, argued it was McConnell's decision not to start the trial until Trump left office.
It was a very disingenuous speech, and I say that regretfully because I always want to be able to work with the leadership of the other party.
7 GOP senators voted with 48 Democrats and 2 independents in favor of conviction. Following the vote, the Louisiana Statute GOP unanimously voted to censure Senator Bill Cassidy for his vote.
Our Constitution and our country is more important than any one person. I voted to convict President Trump because he is guilty.
In a statement Saturday, President Biden said that violence and extremism have no place in America and that we must all defend the truth and defeat the lies. Senator Lindsey Graham told Fox News he spoke with former President Trump after the trial.
He's ready to move on and rebuild the Republican Party. He's excited about 2022. He's mad at some folks, but I understand that.
Following the acquittal, Trump released a statement saying the movement to make America great again has only just begun. There was nothing about what he might do next or whether he'll seek office again. Reporting from Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well-known pastor and TV preacher Frederick K.C. Price has passed away at the age of 89 after battling COVID-19. Price founded the Crenshaw Christian Center based in Los Angeles. Besides his church, he authored more than 50 books, founded several schools for ministry and formal education at the Crenshaw campus, and was married to his wife Betty for 67 years. His daughter Stephanie posted on Facebook, "My heart is broken at the passing of my incredible father, but the love for him, the support for Mom, me, and my siblings gives the biggest hug I could possibly feel." Well, a new Associated Press investigation reveals why misinformation about the origins of COVID-19 spread so rapidly. It found that China launched a global disinformation campaign to suggest that the U.S. created COVID-19 as a bioweapon. The AP and the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab conducted the investigation. They believe that China used its presence on social media to spread false information sent to millions of followers in dozens of languages. Well, states of emergencies are in effect right now from Texas to Virginia after a historic ice storm and crippling cold weather that turned roads into skating rinks. Big rigs littered this highway near El Paso. One highway near Tulsa was shut down for several hours after 3 semis collided in a fiery crash. It is so cold in Houston that the city should see its coldest February in 122 years.
The freezing temperatures have already reached. And so it's very, very important that folks stay off the roads so that we don't cause a disaster on top of a disaster.
Power companies in Texas are considering rolling blackouts because of the massive demand on the power grid. And to make matters worse, another storm system is expected to take aim at the Northeast on Thursday. With more on what's next, meteorologist Joe Bastardi with weatherbell.com joins us. Joe, I understand that snow has fallen all the way to the Mexican border. When is the last time that Texas has seen this type of weather?
Well, this is the worst I've seen in Texas. And let me just say something. Last week we were doing all we could, my company, and this is not self-righteous, pompous hindcasting here, folks, to try to get people's attention to the severity of this. And of course, the impeachment, everybody was just occupied with the impeachment. And yet the equivalent, the wintertime equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane, if you take the extremity against the average of a Category 5 hurricane, that's the extremity of this. And we were trying to get people to understand the magnitude of this. To their credit, the state government of Texas really leapt into action Friday night, and I know that personally. Right now we have 10 million people, close to 10 million people without power in Texas into Louisiana. And as far as you mentioned, 122 years, 1899, that's the very map that we put on and showed people that was setting up for this. The 1899 outbreak was a tad bit colder as far as low temperatures go. For instance, I think the high temperature in Dallas was 13 with the 1899 outbreak. I don't know if Dallas is going to hit 13 today, but I don't think they get to 8 below 0 tonight.
Hey, Joe, you just mentioned that this is the equivalent of a Cat 5. With what respect? Is it the combination of all the elements, the temperature, the ice? Explain a little bit when you say that, what you mean.
Well, I'm talking about deviation meteorologically from the average. A Cat 5 hurricane is as bad as you can get in the hurricanes. This is as bad as you could get with this. Now, let's compare. Okay, for instance, most Cat 5 hurricanes are like giant bulldozers coming in off the ocean. We can see them, right? And we see what the damage is going to be. The cumulative damage to this, do you realize ecological damage, citrus damage, the damage to industry from shutting down for 5 days, the possible loss of life of people, not so much in the big cities, even though it's very cold in their apartments. What about all these people that live in outlying areas? If you ever drove those back roads of Texas and Louisiana, I do that stuff all the time. I love our country, love driving those roads. Not every ranch out there is South Fork, folks. So you've got these people that live very modestly. They're without power. and their temperatures are dropping. And in addition, this ice storm is coming is going to be vicious in East Texas and Louisiana on Wednesday. Now, that'll be mainly snow from Dallas northward on into Texarkana, but the area bounded by Dallas south to about Austin, east, I would say, to Alexandria, Louisiana, and then on the north, bounded again by Shreveport, Louisiana. That area in there, that box, there's liable to be a ½ inch to an inch of ice. So you start taking trees and power lines down with that situation. So the cumulative total, when you add it all up, and we'll have to see when they add it up, the total economic damage may be like a hurricane, that strong a hurricane. And God forbid if we get the loss of life total with this.
Absolutely. Hey, well, Joe, we have just less than a minute left, but tell us a little bit. I understand the Northeast also is in for some severe weather.
Well, yeah, the storm tonight. First of all, it's the Midwest. It's going to get hammered tonight. Tennessee, Kentucky, on into the Midwest, upstate New York, northern New England. The storm tonight changes over to rain and actually is a bit of a thaw. Second one, the one I was just talking about in Texas, comes out. And that's a 3 to 6 inch snowstorm. It looks like D.C. to Boston, change to sleet and freezing rain, heavy snow over the interior, but it's going to pile it up again in the Ohio Valley. But look, if you live in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, you know how to handle winter weather. The real problem is, the real concern I have is with the life that is in these southern states that is not ready for this. And we try to get that message out last week, and now, of course, we're getting the message out now. And God bless those people in there, and I hope they all stay safe.
Wow. Thank you, Joe Bastardi with WeatherWell. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
In other news, Microsoft says a computer hacking operation against several U.S. government agencies and Fortune 500 companies was done with the help of more than 1,000 software engineers from a foreign power. The SolarWinds hack came through infected software from a company called SolarWinds in Austin, Texas. It provides computer network monitoring services to the White House, Pentagon, Secret Service, and the Departments of Treasury, Justice, and Commerce. It was so bad, the Pentagon had to order an emergency shutdown of an internal communications network that handles classified material, something that had never happened before. It is considered the largest and most sophisticated attack the world has ever seen. Parler, the social media website that lost its web host service with Amazon last month, is now back online. Amazon dropped Parler, stating it believed Parler was used by those who plotted the riot at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Parler interim CEO Mark Meckler says the company vowed to return stronger than ever. He says it will thrive as the premier social media platform dedicated to free speech, privacy, and civil dialogue. Coming up, a pretty name and a serious mission. It is called the Rose of the Galilee and is all about Israel's latest efforts to defend its borders.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Syrian media reports Israeli warplanes hit targets near Damascus and 6 Iranian-backed militia members died in the strike. In recent years, Israel has launched hundreds of strikes to prevent Iran from establishing military bases inside Syria and on its northern border. The Israeli Air Force also began a surprise exercise today called the Rose of the Galilee. It simulates possible combat scenarios on Israel's northern border, where Iranian-backed Hezbollah is active. In the UK, 500 churches have committed to welcoming immigrants from Hong Kong. They have even created a website to help the more than 100,000 people from the island that are expected to seek refuge in Britain in 2021. They are fleeing a Chinese political crackdown, which has taken away freedom of speech and religious liberties. The churches are offering help with navigating schools, jobs, health care, and even good restaurants that serve Cantonese food. Well, President Biden spoke directly with the president of China about Hong Kong in their first phone conversation last week. The White House says that Biden also pressed Xi Jinping on China's 11 million Uyghurs. On January 19th, the Trump administration declared that the Chinese government is committing genocide against the Uyghurs. Nina Shea, the director of the Hudson Institute Center for Religious Freedom, is calling on the Biden administration to keep the pressure on, and she joins us now. Nina, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Nina, as you recently noted, the United Nations is asking the U.S. to put aside what it calls different views on human rights in China for the sake of climate change. Can you explain a little bit about what is going on?
Well, on January 19th, then Secretary Mike Pompeo declared that it was a genocide. He determined as Secretary of State that China's actions against this minority Muslim population was ethnic and religious genocide. These are 11 million Uyghur Muslims, mostly. That is, they're Turkic people. They live in Western China. It was framed as, in the media, by much of the media, as a parting shot of Pompeo. And I've also heard it referred to as a cultural genocide. It's far more than that. It's real. And it was well established by the Pompeo State Department. They got new information in May of this past year, 2020, that showed that China has birth control or population control policies meant to really slowly eradicate this population.
It's really horrible what is going on, and I want to ask you, just for the sake of time here, why is it now that the UN is pressing the Biden administration to kind of look the other way, if you will, or not take this so seriously?
Yeah, they're saying, put aside your concerns about genocide, even though that's the most heinous crime to the American people since the Holocaust, and get on with the fight for climate change. Partner with China. Make it your partner. Don't let a little thing like genocide get between us. And it's really appalling. China has been absolutely defiant about this. They tweeted boldly, almost like the Nazis did, that this is for women's emancipation. This will set women free, not to be baby-making machines. That's what they tweeted. It was so bad that even Twitter took it down.
Well, let me ask you, what kind of influence could the Biden administration potentially have here if it does press China, or if it doesn't? What's at stake?
Well, what's at stake is the eradication of these people, and also our own values. Our values that this should never happen again. This was our solemn promise, our solemn oath after the Holocaust, Nazi Holocaust against the Jewish people. And we would betray those human rights values to give way to China and its new order. And so the stake is many lives. This will go on, and they will systematically do this against every religious group. It's coming for the Christians, too. I have no doubt. We're already seeing signs of that with imprisonments and anecdotes of harsh surveillance and treatment and brainwashing. Not to the extent that the Uyghurs, we had 1 million Uyghurs at least in detention camps and now in slave labor camps in Western China, put there by the Chinese government because of their faith. And they're going to do it to all the other groups as well, including the Christians.
What is in it for China here, Nina? Why the Uyghurs? Why target Christians? How did they come ahead?
Well, there were concerns of terror. They used as an excuse. There's also few champions in the Muslim world for these people because China has a lot of economic weight now. It's supplying COVID vaccines to Turkey. So Turkey now has an extradition treaty with China and is sending Uyghurs back to China for punishment and death. So it wields a lot of weight, but we do have sanctions. You asked about tools. We have sanctions, economic sanctions, visa sanctions. A lot of Chinese want to come here to study. They want to work here.
Nina, I'm so sorry. I've got to break in. We're out of time, but thank you for your insights. Really important what's going on.
Okay, great.
Still ahead, how parents can help their children unplug in the midst of COVID-19.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Even before the pandemic, kids were often addicted to their screens. With social distancing, it has increased with more isolation. CBN's Charlene Aaron talked with an expert about helping kids to unplug.
Given the combination of the web, social media, and multiple mobile devices, today's youth are no doubt the most tech-savvy generation ever. That fact, combined with a global pandemic and virtual education, is driving tech use among kids even higher.
It's universal at this point.
Addiction specialist Joshua Andrus started Parents Overcoming Electronics. He says kids often turn to their devices to deal with emotional struggles.
If we're looking at tech addiction, it's their version of telling the alcoholic to just stop drinking. And that's just never effective because they're going there to their devices to fill a void.
In a series of books on the issue, he highlights lessons and alternatives for the whole family.
Teaching kids ownership about what their home environment looks like, but then spreading that out. Parents start to get wise about, what quality time looks like.
His latest release, called Thriving During COVID and Beyond, helps kids endure this historic part of their lives.
The purpose of it is to help our kids to see themselves as warriors that have gone through a sentinel event. They're the first generation that had to do school exclusively online for a time, to see themselves as most prepared for that.
He also urges parents to create stronger bonds by becoming partners with their kids.
If we can build in healthy disciplines where we're spending 15 minutes engaging with our kids in their favorite card game, and that's all we have, then that's still 15 minutes that we didn't have yesterday. And that was an intentional use of our time. Start finding things that you look forward to, but also monitoring the time to see if you can push it up a little bit more and more.
Results Andrus believes are well worth it in the end.
What I notice is when I engage with my kids or I engage with their friends, they get their bucket filled of that connection they're really seeking through social media or they're seeking through video gaming. They get it filled in a less superficial way.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, see the revival that brought healing, worship, and even a baby dedication to the streets of West Palm Beach.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Revival worship leader Sean Feucht and his team brought his Let Us Worship event to Florida over the weekend.
I am tired. Of the shame. Strip off my grave clothes. Set me free.
Hundreds gathered in a South Florida parking lot to escape their addictions and find freedom in the Lord. The event continued for 2 days as hundreds returned to sing, be baptized, and dedicate their children. Feucht tweeted afterwards that God was moving and there was a fresh sound of unity, hope, and revival. And that is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Please remember that you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. And also talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope that you'll join us next time. Have a great day.